Everything just got real. Vikings versus Bears, week 1. Monday Night Football is finally here. Today we're going over some previews about this game. Welcome to Bears Digest, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. If you are not subscribed already, please do so. It looks like 67.5% of you have not done so. So please do so to get those continued updates, news, rumors, breaking information as we enter week 1 of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, it's finally here. Bears versus Vikings, week 1, Monday Night Football, prime time. We are entering that time of year. Today we're going to be touching on some previews about this game, previous history, what to look for in this year's game and this week 1 matchup between these two teams. We're not going to get too into the weeds on score predictions or anything like that until later in the week after we see the injury reports and everything else that comes out about the game. But we're going to discuss everything that we need to know going into the week 1 matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. First things first, divisional game, Monday Night Football on ESPN, 7:15 Central Time. It is going to be in front of the whole entire world. All the critics, all the celebrities, all the people watching us. It's going to be a highly viewed game, and Soldier Field is going to be rocking for this one. Highly anticipated, especially with Ben Johnson in his first head coaching gig and his first game as a head coach. Everything, all of the changes, staff, players, both sides of these teams here have new players and new things going on. This is going to be a highly anticipated matchup where we are going to get millions and millions of eyeballs on this Bears team, whether we like it or not. It's going to be here. So, as we approach week 1, there's a couple of things that we're going to look into and look forward to, positive or negative, and that's going to be the injury report. That first comes out on this Thursday. Usually it is Wednesdays for Sunday games. Since we are playing on Monday, it is going to come out on Thursday. So we're going to stay tuned for that to get some Jaylon Johnson information, Kyler Gordon information, Roshan, Kyle Manungai, other players, as well as on the Viking side, we're going to get some Justin Jefferson information, Van Ginkel information, Jalen Naylor information, and other guys like that. These are going to be important things for us to note before we make any final predictions or anything going forward on a score or outcome of this game. But there's a lot to look forward to in terms of just overall matchup. The first thing that we're going to touch on here with the Minnesota Vikings, just a little bit about last year if you weren't familiar or if you forgot. The Minnesota Vikings were 14-3 in 2024. They finished second in the NFC North and fifth in the NFC. They fell to the Los Angeles Rams 27-9 in the NFC wildcard game. So they were a one and done last year. They were a great team led by Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell on that side. They did kind of fall flat on their face in the playoffs, but of course it is very hard to win in the playoffs, and that's something that we are not used to anyway. So not going to slouch on them too much there, but overall 14-3 season, absolutely spectacular for the Minnesota Vikings. They're looking to rebound off of that after losing Sam Darnold to the Seattle Seahawks. They are now going to start the man J.J. McCarthy. So what they're kind of looking for is to pick up right where they left off. That offensive production is going to be on the hinges of J.J. McCarthy and Kevin O'Connell getting connected. Their weapons are all throughout. They got good guys all around, so that's not going to be an issue there. It's just a matter of J.J. and if he can go through his progressions early on in his career and in his first start at Soldier Field, mind you, it's going to be pretty difficult to do so. So interested to see on what that looks like with J.J. McCarthy. On last year for the Minnesota Vikings, their leaders last year, Sam Darnold threw for 4,319 yards. A little bit embarrassing if you're a Bears fan. No Bears quarterback has ever thrown for 4,000 yards, and Sam Darnold, of all people, did it last year. So that just shows you the talent that they have in Minnesota and the coaching that they have with Kevin O'Connell. He is an absolute wizard. He can make anybody play well. I think if it was any other coach going into week 1 that we were facing with a rookie quarterback, we would be much more confident. But anytime you have Kevin O'Connell leading the way on the other side, it's going to be difficult no matter who is the quarterback. We even saw it last year when Josh Dobbs didn't even practice, didn't even know the playbook, and he went in there and played serviceable QB play for the Vikings in a game that they had there. Aaron Jones was the leading rusher at 1,138 yards. We're going to see something similar out of them. Maybe a little bit more of a split backfield with Jordan Mason splitting some of the work. So you could see that as Jones gets a little bit older and to the back end of his career, maybe that rushing yard total goes down just a smidge. Justin Jefferson with 1,533 yards. He also missed some games last year. We're going to see that number stay the same. He's always going to be that way. He's one of the best receivers in the National Football League. We're going to see that number either stay the same or get even better. Week 1, just something that we're looking ahead to. Hopefully, Jaylon Johnson is on the field. Again, we're going to cover that later this week with our predictions video and injury report reactions. If he is on the field, he's going to be shadowing Justin Jefferson. Hopefully the whole game. Hopefully he's rotating and following Justin wherever he goes, because we're going to need it. If Nashawn Wright or Tyreek Stevenson has the task of covering Justin Jefferson for a whole game, it is going to be a massive, massive issue. So, something to take note on that end. Now, on to Chicago. Our Bears last year, 5-12 in 2024, as everybody knows. They finished 4th in the NFC North and 13th in the NFC. We're looking to excel and get off on a good start here with Ben Johnson. Obviously, 5-12 is not what anybody expected last year. I think going into this year, we need to hold our expectations a little bit lower until we actually see it on the field. I think something that is reasonable, something that we covered a little bit yesterday, is at least a 2-win increase at the floor. And that is if just these guys buy into what Ben Johnson is selling, they can win some close games that they haven't won in the past. That should at least be a 2-game improvement, at least on paper. So now that is not the ceiling for this team. We obviously hope for the playoffs and everything like that. Of course, everybody should. But I think 7-10 is probably a range of what you can expect for this team this year until you actually see some improvements on the field. As for the Bears leaders last year, we're going to see some similar things here for this year as well. The leading passer with Caleb Williams, 3,541 yards. DeAndre Swift, 959. We need him to get above that 1K mark this year. That's going to be something that's paramount for this team and the whole offense to work in sync. We're going to see Kyle Monungai and Roschon Johnson probably get some lick as well in there. Get 5-6 carries apiece every game, you would hope. Now, if you're, trailing from behind like the Bears are somewhat used to, and they're throwing the ball a lot more, things like that, you're going to see DeAndre Swift out there a lot more, and those carries going down. So, overall, we want to see more yards out of Swift. I want to see a 1K season out of him, and just more explosiveness and decisiveness in between the tackles. DJ Moore, the leading receiver with 966. Please note, no 1K yard receivers last year. Hoping to get either DJ, Rome, one of those two guys over 1,000 this year, or both would be an obviously an amazing season there for those two in that receiving room. Overall, I'm not too confident with having one or two 1,000-yard receivers this year because of the weapons that we do possess on the offense. We got Cole Kmet, Colston, Loveland, DeAndre Swift can catch passes as well, as he caught 45 to 50 last year. And Rome, Luther, Zacchaeus, DJ, we got all the guys that can catch passes. I think Ben and Caleb are going to spread it around a lot. So getting one or two 1,000-yard receivers is going to be very difficult. I do hope that Rome can make that step in year 2 and get to 1,000 with that connection with Caleb Williams. So we will see there. So that is the leaders from last year for the Bears. We expect some of the same on that front. The last thing that I want to touch on for this preview is the Vegas betting odds for the game. This is very telling if you guys aren't betting people or knowledgeable about betting markets. Vegas knows what they're doing. Obviously, they're not right all the time, but they are right 70% or more of the time. What they have on this line for the sports books is opening Minnesota Vikings -1.5, which means they predict the Vikings to win this football game and by 1 or more points. The over-under set at 43.5. That is something that we usually see with these division games, something in the low 40s for the NFC North other than Green Bay versus Detroit. But anytime you have Chicago and Minnesota playing, it's usually going to be a little bit lower of a score total. So 43.5 would put you at somewhere along the lines of 24-21 final. Something like that would hit the over just barely there. What this means at -1.5 when the Vikings are on the road at Soldier Field, this means that Vegas has Minnesota as roughly a 3 to 4 point favorite if they were playing at home at US Bank Stadium in Minnesota. So what that means is Vegas thinks that the Vikings are clearly the better team to start off the year, and I think that is more than serviceable. I'd rather be on the other end as Chicago Bears fan here. I'd rather be the underdogs for this game. Having J.J. McCarthy come into his first start of his NFL career on the road in prime time at night at Soldier Field, and they are the favorites. That's absolutely the spot that we want to be in. I don't think we want to be in the market of being favorites for this game, so hopefully that doesn't change. I like being the underdogs. That's going to play us well. We saw last year against the Titans, I think we were 6-point favorites or something like that. Maybe it was 4 to start the year, and obviously we started down 17-0. We did end up winning that game, so that was great, of course. But I think it's just better being the underdogs. You want to be overlooked. You want teams to take you a little bit lightly, and then you can come out and pound them in the face. So that is what we're looking at for the game preview this week. Obviously, all week we're going to have all of the information about this game, injury reports, updates as we get to them. But it's finally week 1. Get excited, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be a roller coaster no matter how you slice it. So thank you for joining me once again today. And as always, bear down.